Good morning, everyone. It's Monday. It's 9 a.m. here in Toronto. It's quite early for California, for Marina here. This is, I believe, the sixth day we're doing this Security Awareness Month for October. We will speak today about cloud security and trying to make sense and everything related to cloud security. We had a session with Anna about a week ago when we spoke about threats, but today we're going to do a much deeper dive about cloud security. Marina, good morning for you.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. Maybe you will tell the people that listen to us a bit about yourself.
Sure. I'm Marina. I'm the founder and the CEO of startup called Noon. We are still in stealth, so I'm not going to tell much about what I'm building, but I can tell that what we are building is related to cloud security. Before Noon, I've spent several years as a product manager of Dom9 Security that got acquired by Checkpoint, and later on by Sysdig, where I actually worked a little bit with Anna, that was on your podcast. My career started in Deloitte, so I've spent many years in Deloitte doing a lot of compliance, risk management, audits. It was before the cloud, though.
You mean there was life before the cloud? Cloud not here forever?
Cloud was not here forever, and I'm too old to tell how long ago it was.
Nah, great. So let's quickly define cloud again. We spoke about the joke, it's somebody else's compute, but we agree it's not because there's different modules in the cloud that don't really exist a lot on-prem, like serverless, a lot of containers. Even so, we can do containers on-prem, but we mainly see them in the cloud. So let's quickly talk about your definition of cloud, and we will dive in on different ideas how we can secure it.
So when I talk about cloud, I'm thinking about large scale implementations of your production environments or your applications that run in AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, Oracle Cloud. So basically, cloud providers that provide you all of the infrastructure that you need to run and build your applications and run it elsewhere, not in the on-prem environment.
Fair. Okay, great. For people that are listening to us, I see somebody already put a comment. Ilya, good morning to you as well. You're more than welcome to ask us questions. We'll try to answer them as we see the questions coming as well. And if one of you want to join us here live on a stream, just indicate it and we'll figure out the internet magic and the cloud magic, how we can bring you here as well. Do you want to dive in a bit and we'll talk about the acronyms that we like so much in cybersecurity in general? And I put some of them here. Why we have so many acronyms and why is it all start with C?
I guess we need some definitions when we are protecting cloud environments. It's a lot of different perimeters that we need to protect. And in order to make sense of all of it, our friends in Gartner and all of the different analyst firms, they try to make it a little bit more defined. And that's why we have those acronyms that each one of them defines a category of protection and the way we can apply security tools towards our cloud environments. And each one of those acronyms that you are seeing on the screen, it has different purpose.
So which one was first?
The first one was CSPM. It was Cloud Security Posture Management.
Okay.
And this acronym was born around 2017-18, when we understood that if we are running stuff in the cloud, we need to make sure that it's not being misconfigured. We basically need to check that each and every asset has the right configurations in place. And it's very tightly connected to compliance in the cloud, because when you are running cloud security posture management program, most of the policies and checks and the protections that you're going to run would be related to your compliance program, but not all of them.
Great. Let's give an example of CSPM, and I'll try to give one, and you add yours. In AWS, Azure, GCP, there's a lot of configurations. So Google, Microsoft, and Amazon have their own cloud, and I think last time somebody count was around like more than 4 or 5 thousand different uh, type of configuration. There's impossible for a human being to remember all of them, and using CSPM type of protection or software or vendor, we can really understand what's happening, what we misconfigure potentially, and sometimes if we want to align to a framework, it can help us as well.
Exactly, right. And what it does, it detects every single asset that is being misconfigured and tells you how you supposed to make the changes that are needed in order to make it more secure.
Great. Any other examples for CSPM?
Well, there are different types of CSPM tools. You can, and not necessarily all of them are actual products that you are buying. There is a lot of open source out there that you can use in order to run your CSPM program. You can build it on your own. You can just write scripts. You can use native solutions, as you said, Google, Azure, Amazon, all of them have um, security centers that allow customers to run those checks. And there are off the shelves. There are over 30 vendors that I know that provide those types of tools.
But I guess CSPM is not enough.
It's not, but it's a good start. It's a foundation. I believe that if you really want to understand where to start, if you go with CSPM first and narrow it down to the necessary checks, you cannot go wrong because it's really a foundation. So another thing that is really connected to CSPM, and this is actually one of the latest acronyms that was added, is CIEM. It's Cloud Identity Entitlement Infrastructure Entitlement Management. Thank you for putting it in front of me. And it's all about identity and access management. The kind of, in a nutshell, this type of tools are making sure that you are running all of the users and services in your environment with the least privilege necessary. So you basically making sure that you are not giving away too many permissions, access permissions to anyone. There are different other mechanisms that those tools are providing in detections, but the guiding principle of those tools is least privilege.
In my previous work, we had this job that everybody with the credit card can be the CIO, CEO, CISO, whatever they want in a cloud, because they can just go and build the cloud with the Visa. So let's talk about identity and why it's important in the cloud and why we see so many problems in the cloud with identity.
I think because identity became like a firewall, if we can kind of compare it to something that is coming from the on-prem world, you really need to provide permissions for anything that you're going to do in the cloud. And there are so many permissions and combinations that you can provide and assign that it's really impossible to manage in a very clean and narrow way. You usually find those cases when there is a machine that you need to run, and then you kind of trying to figure out what permissions you need to assign to it, and you either assign something that is similar to something else that is running in your environment, or you just use out of the box profiles, and it will never be exactly the profile or the type of permissions that this machine or user is actually needs. So there's a lot of complexity there. And that's why we are hearing about the identity and access management so much, because it's a very basic way of providing access, and it's very complicated to manage.
Is there even like I'm trying to understand, why would I run CSPM and CIEM on the two different tools? Because they're probably going to overlap in many cases.
Mm-hmm. I guess it's the same as if you were to ask, why would I go to a family doctor or to an ETN or a very special doctor? You can do a lot of things with CSPM that relate to IAM, but if you really want to be focused on on this IAM, you need a tool that allows you to do certain things that are not very relevant for other types of services in the cloud. So if CSPM would tell you about all of your open buckets, or it will tell you about all of the users that do not have MFA enabled. It's one type of scenario that you basically, there is a deterministic check and you get deterministic answer. With IAM, it's more about the investigation. It's more about, okay, what my user or what my service accessed in the past X days, X months. How do I narrow it down? It needs to be very tailored towards the IAM policies. And then there are all of the other features that you may want to use, like just-in-time access or access reviews, workflows. So there are a lot of different features that need very special kind of a treatment.
You brought a very good analogy, and I liked it. Difference between a family doctor and a specialist, and it's kind of close to my heart from an architecture perspective. If the specialist didn't get the information from a family doctor, then he will not have all the information to treat you correctly, and he will
Absolutely.
probably waste cycles. So in my mind, if there is no good synergy, connectivity, API connectivity between CSPM and CIM, then it's not going to be a very good holistic solution for a customer. Maybe for a vendor, yes, but for a customer, no.
Absolutely. And I believe it's about, the maturity of the solutions. We are seeing that the market is going towards consolidation in the space, and there are vendors that provide both of the worlds of CSPM and CIM in one solution that work really well. But there are point solutions that provide either CIM or CIM separately, and it doesn't mean that it's bad. It just, the maturity of the market, and how we are seeing that there is consolidation happening, but it doesn't mean that you have to have consolidated solution. The APIs these days are so robust that you just need to decide what use cases you're optimizing for, and that should guide you in your selection.
Thank you. We'll do a quick pause. It's not sponsors. I don't have a sponsor for the podcast. But if you want to listen, people that listen to us right now, watching us right now, to see what's happening later on this week, we're going to have live show every day. And also there is a link here to the two podcasts I'm running right now. One is Security Architecture Podcast with Dimitri Reitman, and Cyber Inspiration, where I interview founders of cybersecurity vendors. The links are here. You can see them and get there as well. And definitely all the other shows we're doing for the month of October. So Marina, let's move on to some of the other acronyms. And I don't know, I think this one, the cloud work protection, is also very, very important.
It is. And the workload protection was born somewhere around the time when CSPM was born. And it's all about the compute that is running in your environment, and how do you know which processes are running? How do you know that the operational system that is there is valid and patched? How can you get access inside of your workload? It can be virtual machine or container. How do you know that there is no malware or no anomalous processes that are running at any given point of time? So it's more close to the threat detection and response kind of a processes in organizations, while the CSPM that we just discussed is more close to cloud security architecture side of the security.
Great. We have a question here that's related to this from Ilya. And the question is, how hard will it be to apply anomaly detection on patterns, behavior, or identities in the cloud without productive noise? So basically, we don't want to have false positive, and we want to find the problems. Marina, what do you think?
It is hard. It is. We do have a lot of events, and there is a lot of API calls and behaviors, and The logs that we are going to need to monitor for that are pretty noisy. But I think as a guiding principle in any program, it can be anomaly detection program or cloud security protection program, just start with one or two use cases and then expand. I believe that if we define those use cases very clearly, it can actually start moving the needle. So um, if if you are thinking about the anomaly detection on top of your identities in the cloud, you really need to understand who are those identities that you are monitoring, which ones of those identities you want to include in the program, and what use cases are matter to you the most. And then that's how I would approach this.
I think it's a very good answer. Ilya, hope it satisfied you. In any case, everything is anomaly detection, and we start to add algorithms, we can always probably going to have some false positive. But as you mentioned, if we not try to capture everything and we'll add use case by use case, then we have a much better chance, have a better results without a lot of false positives. Let's move to the other acronym. And I actually personally not really familiar with the CNAP a lot. I think it's a relatively new one and probably very confusing for a lot of people as well.
Yeah, so this acronym was born when we started to see consolidation in the market of CSPM, CIM, and CWPP all combining together in one platform. So this platform that has all of those different capabilities needed a name, and this is what the Gartner acronym for that type of platform that includes all of those different capabilities. That provide security, protection, detection, and response in the cloud.
Okay, great. Somebody is telling me that LinkedIn is not working really well. I hope it's not for everyone. Great. So do you envision that we have probably more acronyms in the cloud as well, because there's also vulnerability management, and now we're including all the applications app security and containers definitely as well. Do you envision we're going to have one or two categories in the next little while, or we're still going to have many?
Good question. I think there will be a lot of categories because we have a lot of different perimeters and types of solutions that does not really make sense to bundle together. It just makes it too complicated for the end user and even for persona in the organization. Different tools usually serve different people in security team. So I do feel that we will still have a lot of acronyms. Some of them will consolidate wherever it makes sense, as we are seeing here with the CNAP. But I don't believe that all of them will be combined and we will only be left with two different types of solutions for the cloud. I don't see that happening.
Great. So, okay, let's pretend I'm watching the show right now. I have a small company in financial, open banking. I don't know, maybe have my own shawarma online. And I have everything in the cloud. Like, what do I do? Where do I start? I'm freaking out right now. I look at all these acronyms and I don't know what to do. As a person that has its own company and everything in the cloud, what will be the first step in your mind?
I would say go with the CIS benchmarks for the cloud that you selected. Start with that. CIS benchmark is a very good framework. You can identify the main kind of problems pretty quickly. Go with either native or open source solution for that, and understand what type of data you are storing in which type of asset, and for those crown jewels that you detected, maybe do a little bit deeper. Yep.
So I'll stop you here. So let's do, first of all, let's define crown jewels, because maybe not everybody understand. Two, can you recommend any open source for people that want to try? Do you know any of them that people maybe go see without investing money right away?
Sure. One that comes on top of my head is Cloud Custodian. There are a few others that are out there, and you can just search for CSPM open source. There is actually a tool that's called CSPM open source, if I remember correctly.
This is Cloud Custodian for the people here, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
And I will just search for a couple of others as we speak, and maybe we'll post it in the link in the chat.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And let's after that talk about crown jewels, how we define them, and what the hell does it mean?
Well, crown jewel, I believe as humans, we always need some tails in our life, and that's about, what are we protecting? Where are those crowns of the queen that related to our kingdom are stored? And the kingdom in this case is our cloud environment. So basically, what is that most sensitive type of resource or asset that we have in our environment that we want to protect the most? And that is
so this is important to define. And after I define what I'm actually protecting, and in my mind, I'll add here is also if this particular resource is unavailable, I probably cannot make money. I cannot serve my customers or whatever the main type of my work. So it is important to define for yourself. And in some cases, if you can define if it's down, how much money you're losing, it will be your tool to get more budget, to get more protection as well, because then the management will understand, okay, if this particular cloud jewel is not available, I'm going to lose X amount of money an hour, and I better prepare and maybe do much better security in advance. So be much more proactive. Great. If you find the other link, put it in the chat, or I'll add it later on so people will.
And here it is. I just found it.
Okay, great.
1 second. It's a bit ugly here, but
it's 1 second. The Open Raven.
Yeah, there are a few. There is a Cloud Custodian and then Cloud Exploit by Aqua. They still have it in open source. There is an Open CSPM in GitHub. Security Monkey by
we may need to add them later on to LinkedIn because it's here. It sounds like it's a bit going to be too many links. I'll try.
Okay.
Okay, great. People that are watching right now, any more questions? Meanwhile, I'm posting links. Let's see. I know there's a bit of delay between us and when it's actually come to LinkedIn. A lot of good resources. Marina, anything else you want to add meanwhile?
No, I think start somewhere with the cloud security. You will never go wrong if you just do it one step at a time and protect your cloud.
Any words that can help you to tell to the management why you need one of the C different tools we described today?
Your developers run fast and you want to let them innovate. Half of the misconfiguration of the breaches in the world are due to misconfigurations. So if you want to let your developers run fast, you need to make sure that there is nothing bad happens. And that's a basic.
Fair. And especially because we see a huge movement to the cloud and everybody pretty much moving out of on-prem to use some majority of the SaaS or IaaS providers for the application. So it's important to
show your management some Google scanner for open buckets and show it to your management. Any kid can now find some scanner that finds misconfigured buckets or services online. It's so easy to find some holes in your environment. So just show them how easy it is to get into your environment.
Awesome. Marina, thank you very much. It was really, really awesome talking to you today. And thank you everyone as well. We'll see you tomorrow and the rest of the week.
Thank you.